So we're talking about beautiful today, and beauty actually is one of the transcendent qualities. Transcendent meaning close to God qualities, as is wholeness and truth and beauty. And so we're talking about the evolution of beauty in our life. So I'll just start off on kind of this level. How beautiful are you feeling this morning? Good, okay, good. Well, we gave you a little help. We started singing, "You Are the Face of God," and how could anybody tell you're anything less than beautiful? I mean, that's kind of a good way to start, isn't it, to be in company like that? Right. Well, a few years ago, a film was made, a documentary film called Choose Beautiful. And it was done by the Dove Soap Company, and it was done throughout the world in San Paulo and Delphi and Shanghai, in San Francisco. I can't remember. There were 5 different places. And they found a place where they could put above 2 separate doors the word beautiful and the word average. And they asked women of all ages and cultures to stand in front of those doors and walk into the door that they most felt aligned with. The door that said beautiful, or the door that said average. Now, since I'm going to play this for all of us, you guys, I don't know if you want handsome or studly or hunky or whatever it is, but you think of one too, okay? Which door would you walk through? Well, you can imagine that the girls that were walking through and women that were walking through those doors hadn't been prepared with the songs we sang and the prayers we said. So the majority of them walked through average. Because whatever stories were going on in their head, whether from families or culture or, don't be conceited, whatever it is, you're not enough, you're not worthy, you're not pretty enough, you're not smart enough, whatever it is, they walk through the average door. However, that's not the end of the story. Most of those who walked through the average door regretted it. They wished they had not walked through that door. And they said if they had to do it again, they would have walked through the door that said beautiful. There's a place in all of us that knows inside of us there is beauty just wanting to be expressed. All right, I want you to repeat this after me. I am made in the image and likeness of God.
I am made in the image and likeness of God.
I am perfect. I am divine. I have everything I need right now. If we realize that we are that expression of God, could we walk in any door but beautiful? No. So that's what this story, this journey of beauty is about this morning. That we are here to recognize, wow, the stories we have. How many of you have a story that you kind of tell repeatedly about your life? Oh, come on. We all do. We all have stories. We all align with our stories. They tell us about ourselves. But the stories we tell, they're not bad or wrong, but they're just a limited version of the true story. Because we are here in process. We are here as the outpicturing of spirit. We are spiritual beings having this human experience, and so often our stories talk about the limited human experience. I read in John O'Donohue. He was younger than me, but he's passed on, and he was a former Irish Catholic priest who gave up the priesthood to become a visionary writer, a best-selling writer. Very beautiful, poetic writer. And he said, every good story knows more than the teller. That's us. We have a good story in us. Every good story knows more than its teller. So when we talk about waking up to beauty, that's the story that's within us that wants to be told. But we need to wake up to it. It's there already. Ernest Holmes says beauty cannot ever, 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 well, he probably didn't say that many evers, but I'll say it, can never, ever, 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 ever be withheld. But it can be held within us. We have it in us now, but it can be asleep and not awakened, and that's our job, to open up to a greater expression of that beauty. So when you were reading this morning, Pam, it reminded me of this world we live in. Do you know technology was first created to make life simpler? Like, what happened? This world is so distracting. It is just everywhere we go, we're distracted, and we get pulled away from beauty. We get pulled away from the simple things that have that inherent beauty and perfection that want to be noticed. But we get pulled away from it with our distractions. We also get pulled away from the things that are beautiful because of the media. The media says that human beauty is to be flawless perfection. Is that possible? The beauty is being, as you were saying this morning, Kirk, being alive in your life, being awake in your life. But when you look at the media, they're constantly telling you what's wrong, what we don't have. They hide it, they cover it, they do whatever so we don't see our humanness. And what kind of image do we get of ourselves? We have to wake up and realize there's something more to this story that wants to be told. So I'm going to ask you right now, in this story of your life, where are you having past stories that are the small, limited version of yourself that are still running your life? They still have that tape in you going over and over again telling you of the not enoughness. Because we want to stop that. We want to open up to something more. But other than that, sometimes we can have those small stories, or we can have movies we create about our future. You know what I mean? That tell us, oh, I'm lonely, or there's not enough, it's filled with lack, there's not this. You know, the only reality there is where? Here, right now. God will never be more present than it is right now. This is the truth. This is where we need to be. Yet we have these two things, either stories of our past or movies of our future, that besides all the technology and the media and the stuff out there, we've got our internal messages going on that are pulling us from the beauty and perfection of this moment. Whether, as you read this morning, Pam, we have tears and sadness and sorrow, you know, that can harden our heart if we don't put it in a bigger perspective, or if we have the joys and excitement of newness and creativity, or just the everyday pattern, whatever it is, there's perfection in it all. So what I'm going to ask us to do this morning, just simply wake up to the beauty that's already in there. We have to wake up to that. Pema Chodron, who is an American Tibetan Buddhist nun, and she writes so many wonderful stories and books about living with the imperfections of this human life. She has a book called Living Beautifully in Change and Uncertainty, which is a lot about the human existence, continual change and uncertainty, but living beautifully. And the first thing she says we have to do is wake up to the beauty that's present. And she said, number one, to wake up to that beauty, we have to be fully present and engaged in this moment. So just take a breath. And I realize that's hard to do sometimes. When things are really difficult or scary or hard, sometimes it's hard to be just fully present in the moment. But there's a little trick we can choose, because there are so many distractions that pull us out of stillness. Do you know what I mean? Pull us out of stillness, you know, like boom, 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 boom. Okay, if we have just one picture in our mind and heart, one picture of something of simple beauty in nature. It could be a still pond, it could be a flower, it could be the strength and beauty of a tree that we can just pull up. And here's what Eckhart Tolle says. He says, when you look at a tree and perceive its strength, its beauty, and its stillness, if you really look at that, and see it, you become that strength, that beauty, and that stillness. So if we have trouble engaging fully in the moment, pull up a picture of nature and breathe into that. And the next step, Pema says, is open your heart. Be open and available, because it's not going to work if we're closed down. And it takes courage to do that, but to be open and available. And the third thing she says is then leap into joy. Find something beautiful. Find something that excites you, pleases you, makes you happy. Find something, anything, because everywhere we are, there is something that will connect with that beauty within us. Something that will let us connect with that. So just remember, right here, we're going to be in the stillness to allow the beauty to be present. So we have to wake up to it. First of all, we have to recognize it. We have to choose beautiful. Choose beautiful by remembering who we are, number one. Then we have to wake up. We have to know the beauty's there and then wake up to it. And then the next thing we want to do is we want to start living fully. We want to, just what Pema's book is about, living fully, beautifully. I mean, living fully, beautifully, living beautifully, fully. Whatever, we could do all of that. But living beautifully, beautifully. And that's a little different, because that's waking up to our own divinity first. And when we wake up to the divinity within us, we can't help but see it in other people. When we walk through that door of average, or even worse, not good enough, it's because we forget we're beautifully made. We forget that what's already there is perfect and beautiful. And everything has meaning and reason in our life, even if we don't understand it. Pema says if we're going to be living beautifully, we have to stretch and widen our perspective of life, which takes us, now let me know if you relate to any of this, untouching from our old fixed beliefs about how life is supposed to be. Are you ready to do that? And living in the fluidity of spirit. You know, we are not the flow of spirit, the originating flow of spirit, but we are the vessel that allows spirit to flow through us. It's our job to be open to that. Now, okay, so we've recognized, we've chosen that, oh yeah, there's that divine quality of beautiful in me right now. Did you hear that? There's that divine quality of beauty within me right now, right? You kind of look like, I'm not sure. And then I guess you've got to wake up to it. That's the second step, waking up to it. Then we want to live it, but we have to realize also that this isn't just a one-step thing. Remember I said in the beginning that the transcendent quality of beauty and wholeness and truth and love that bring us closer to God and spirit, and truly those things make life worthwhile. This is not a new idea. About 2,500 years ago, in Plato's Symposium, his philosophical text he wrote about life and speeches on life. It took place in ancient Greece, where men would gather all kinds of men, gay men, straight men, married men, not married men, whatever. They'd gather together for a little bit of food, but lots of wine. And as the evening wore on, the host would invite the men to tell their ideas, give a speech on eros or love, and hoping they would break down with a little wine and break down and get deep in this subject. And one night, it tells of Socrates telling the story of the ladder of love and beauty, where he's relating wisdom he'd learned from the priestess Diotima. And it's about how we climb this ladder of love while we are pulled by beauty. So I want you to think of that. It's the ladder of love being pulled by beauty. And of course, the very base level, the first rung of the ladder, is that first arousal of a beautiful body that we are attracted to on this physical level. You know, we feel that sense of beauty, and then we get a little more awake and aware, and we find, it's not just one beautiful person. There's lots of beautiful bodies, lots of beautiful people in this world, and your awareness expands. But then the next rung takes us to the beauty of the soul. And it's when our awareness comes that true beauty is on the inside. And it leads us to a wider perspective of life. And then we move from that rung of the ladder to beautiful wisdom and learning, that we can learn more and more about life and things, and we can be expansive in our own awareness. But the last level, the last rung of this ladder that Socrates shared about his wisdom and Plato wrote about, was the idea of beauty, the essence of beauty. And he said, when we really get to that place, the essence of beauty, that life is beautiful in all its expressions. No matter what's going on, we hold the essence of beautiful. He said, this is what makes life worthwhile. And Plato went on to say that when we move up this ladder, where we are really moving is towards oneness, towards God, towards connection. And when we're at that place, we truly do start living beautifully by not wanting to harm ourselves or anyone else, but to be beautiful, to see the goodness in one another. And when we see that, we want to help each other. We want to do things for each other. We want to be there to serve and see the divinity, even if people don't see it for themselves. And lastly, when we're in that place, when we're living from the essence of beauty. Now this one might shock some of us, but we accept and embrace the world just as it is. We embrace the world just as it is. Joseph Campbell said, "The world is perfect. It's a mess. It's always been a mess, and we can't fix it. The only thing we can do is straighten out our own lives." And let me add to that, straighten out our own lives and express our unique, divine beauty. So will you just close your eyes and pray with me for a minute as we just know this moment right now. This moment, because truly there is nothing else but this moment, is a moment for each and every one of us to awaken right now to that core of love and beauty and wholeness and health and vibrancy that is within us. And whatever the experiences are, the ups and downs of this life, we know that God is present everywhere in its fullness. Spirit is present everywhere. Healing is present everywhere. Love is present everywhere. And we choose in this moment to open the flow of that divine spiritual essence of beauty, of love, of healing, of light, of joy, of goodness, that we may share it and be it in this world right now. And as we allow it to flow through us, when we allow it to be the essence that we distribute, we feel it coming back to us, embracing and embodying us as we see through the eyes of love. And we know that as we do this, we take every moment, every single moment, as a precious opportunity to become the next greatest version of ourselves. We revise our story to be a story of empowerment, a story of connection, a story of spiritual awareness and awakening and love. I'm going to invite each and every one of you right now to just breathe in all those truths which belong to you and belong to each and every person here. And let's take that web of knowing, that web of light, that web that connects us all, and feel the truth as it binds us all in this beautiful community of humanity. And I'm going to truly take this moment to just allow us to cleanse the vision of our eyes so that when we open our eyes and come back together, we make that choice. We choose beautiful. We choose love. We choose healing. We can train ourselves right now to see a bigger truth. Remember, a good story knows more than its teller. And when the teller starts to know more, the story gets better. And it's time for better. So take a nice breath and let's open our eyes. Thank you. Thank you. We're needed right now. All of us are needed to be a greater expression of goodness. We're all needed right now. And I know we've been called together. And I just thank God that all of you are in this community that we can share together. God bless you all. Thank you.